I grew up with a single mother and a grandmother, and so my grandmother is like a beacon of the understanding, like the chief, the leader. And at that time, because my grandmother was so powerful, strong in the community, our presence had a lot more responsibility because previously she was married to the minister. So being in religion and whatnot. So that's kind of like, oops, let me put my phone on. Let me stop my phone. Let me put my phone on mute. So the difference of having a grandmother like that and being responsible for different levels, it kind of gave a sense of awareness, purpose. So that's kind of been like a beacon of awareness.
What was tell me a little bit about the church and the community and how important it was and why it was the center, kind of, back in old school, that was where people gathered and that's where stuff happened. And what was it like?
I was born in 1969. So I was born in 1969. So I think that the orientation that I have on my growing up, we had a wood heater. We were self-sufficient, meaning on the land. We had our hogs, cows, chickens, the whole nine. So we were living on the land. So it's a lot of work from sun up to sundown. But I can recall my experiences growing up. We had a smokehouse, so when we, say, for example, killed a hog, we, even though the hog ate slop and whatnot, but we had a fattening floor. So the fattening floor was raised off the ground, it was on wood. So for a month, we only gave the hog stuff to clean the system up, corn and lye. So that was something I remember very vivid in that level. And then I remember the process of killing the hog, the whole, and then having a smokehouse, the meat, the barns, just really being here on the land. My grandmother, I remember that growing up, vivid memories of kids, like killing the chicken, wringing the chicken neck, the chicken hops around. And, I was picking the feathers, putting the hot water. So just that level connection. And then, so we had food. So the food was a very primary thing. We never was hungry. The second level in terms of the church, it was very like a central part of our community, meaning Sunday for sure we going to church. That was a must. There was no, it was no options. The process of church was totally like disciplinary, making sure the kids was acting right, stuff like that. So those are kind of like some installing positions that we had. I think that did something like during the summertime Bible study. That was kind of interesting because we played with other kids and whatnot. In fact, I recall when I was a kid, I got stabbed at in the church ground because kids, we have our breaks. So little boys play, and so one time Donald, never forget it, James Gordon, never forget it. He had one of these little sticks. He had sharpened the stick, whatever, for whatever reason, kids play, poke, whatever. And he hit me, man. It was this, you see the straight white, what I mean? It's like, whoa, it was at church. So that was something, I remember that we got baptized in the lakes or ponds around the area. In fact, I got baptized in my pond over here. So, with the whole traditional way of being white, covered, the deacon, the pastor. And just, I guess another thing that I recall regarding the church aspect, when you decide to get on the morning bench, then it's a process during that week with most kids and get on it because you want to get saved to say that's I guess you would call it becoming a member, indoctrinated to say, I seen, God, I got something. It was interesting because normally it was a strong session of prayer. And during that time, the elders, they want to say, did you get something? Did you get it? So that was kind of like a very, something that stands out very like, growing up as a kid, that's something that's very like, connecting to the unknown, connecting to something that you can't physically see versus what they got around you. But so that kind of was a very interesting part because of seeing how some kids go through it and seeing that there was a growth stage. So it was a manifestation from, I guess, being in the unknown and getting into the known.
How old were you when?
Wait, hold on.
Go ahead.
Give me 1 second. When? Okay, watch out. It's rubbing on his beard. Yeah. It only happened when he was showing you his cut. The rest of the time it's all right.
That's why we have two.
Yeah, I didn't want to stop him because but you got everything on there. It
Oh,
sounds
yeah.
great.
I love that thing. That
Yeah.
thing has saved me
Okay, we're ready.
a couple of times.
Yeah.
Has knowing God always been easy for you, or is that something you had to work at, or is that something that just came, or like I know it had to have been hard growing up with a single mom. Did she like really stress God? Was it something you always knew because He always came through for y'all, or what was your relationship like with God growing up back then?
Well, I have to inhale and exhale with that, to be honest with you, because it was definitely, when you looking back, being at the age of 55 and looking back at it and being able to discuss it, it was challenging. And I guess, because I was very open and I was raised very, my grandmother pretty much raised me. My mother's, working, my brother and sister a lot older than me. So like before I ate, I had to sit down at the table and wait at the table while she warmed the food up for me. And so it was a great experience because she said, well, say my prayers before you eat. So I was pretty much under the methods and structure of acknowledging God. And with that being said, I did have, because every night I love my grandmother so much, I used to pray on side of her. You know what I mean? I love that. She prayed, she down and sit on there, she prayed. So that's probably one of my greatest memories. And on her wall, she had the Lord's Prayer. So I recall very vividly, I questioned it because when in the prayer it said, hallowed be thy name, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. And I'm like, hell to the no. In my mind, looking back, the whole condition of a white-black relationship was very, very strong, So I didn't disagree. I kind of, didn't agree with it in the conditions. And so my grandmother, like I said, she was the leader. She was the one that carried a shotgun. I mean, our people on our property, we maintained it. When they tried to come take our property back in the day, we had shotguns to make sure, so it was a struggle, a fight, and all these things. So I question it on that premise, but my rule of thumb, because I love my grandmother so much, and just, and then I also was part of life. Prayer was a part of life. So even after years of growing up, when I was a teenager, I used to fast because my grandmother fasts. And that was a cool stuff. Like, Matthias could say, I can prove myself not to eat. You know what I'm saying? So it was like a cool little thingamajig. So it was more or less like learning the process of anything, whether it's shooting marbles, learn the game of it. But I physically felt something when my brother, who's a minister, and he was in my yard, and we was like during the summertime, and my friends and whatnot, and he said, all get together. My brother's 9 years older than me, so we was outside playing, whatever. And so he had all of us close your eyes, put your hands up, and just keep saying, thank you, Jesus, like that. And so that's kind of been one of the first connections in terms of if it was a mantra or whatever, but feeling that process in your head, and then that kind of like was a core strategy for my life, being thankful. So with that being said, that's kind of like my rule of thumb that guided me and still does today in terms of process of thinking.
Can you just talk a little bit about the history of this community? And like, I understand it was a plantation back in the day, and that there's like a very long history of sharecropping here. and how it's really over hundreds of years. We're talking from the 1700s almost. So I was looking online.
Well,
Sorry. Can you go into a little bit of why the tension is
well,
between the white and the black, and we can touch a little bit about the 60s and
well, I think that for us, because um, how I know the history from the farming, like for what we have here, like I know it to my, my grandmother parents, at that level. So we have this particular property since in the 18th, so grandmother. So this is like, in the 18th, so as you know that the concept of freedom was 1865 or whatever. So a lot of the transition phase was first sharecropping. So, and so a lot of the knowledge that I have from my grandmother saying like, we have our land, we work the land, but also we work the white folks' land, and that was a barter system, that type of sharecropping. And that was, and a lot of the land here was very thicket. It was very thicket, and it was very, to clean it off, stuff like that. So the white-black relationship, as I know it, some of the whites here that came from Europe and whatnot, they were not involved. They weren't interested in slavery, but they, pretty much got involved into that kind of structure because of survival. And a lot of the Buffalo Soldiers, I understand that, like the whites could not beat the Indian. They couldn't. I mean, so the Buffalo Soldiers technically the ones that did it, and it was, when you look back at it, they couldn't survive. They're in a whole different terrain. So that's what I understand that. I don't know about the black-white relationship in my life is totally different because I was fortunate. When I first saw a white man here on property, I'll never forget that.
oh, tell me
I
about
was 8. I was so scared because we had a gate, and we never said it was all black out here, so we never in this region. And so, wow, my eyes like bucked, and I didn't come outside, so I went to my mother's room by the window and I looked, peeked out the window. So I remember that. That was kind of like the first little time that interaction, and other than like we go to the grocery store or something, but that was like functionality, like little kid. So that my relationship, and I have pretty much certain challenges, I call for his education, the history of here. I mean, like I said, we had community leaders back then because like my grandmother, we have other elders, we had like associations that they were participatory in terms of community things to do. Talent shows, like we had a local talent show, it was all little black. So the community awareness was very segregated. Even Hispanics, the Hispanics have their little sections, the schools. So if the whole process, like the elder that taught me, like even the schools were totally segregated, how I understand that process. And then this gradual thing started happening. So I got a lot of knowledge from my grandmother. In fact, I will never forget the story my grandmother told me because she's raised. She said, like, she remembered the time that a white man used to be able to come down the road and take the black man's wife out the house, take her down, jar, and bring her back.
do what now?
The white man was able to come down the road, take the black man's wife, it's a woman, take her down the road and jar and bring her back. So I remember that story and it stuck with me for a long time. And I always remember because my grandma was teaching me like the process, what was the condition. But keep in mind, she was born in 1800s, you know what I mean? The beatniks and all this, it was very, it was like, I can do whatever I want, it was like, really. So that level of black-white relationship, knowing the history and the whole evolution of it, that was a part of my life. Even after the fact, I mean, I was personally harassed. Everything with the black-white relationship, even to the day, is still a process. Now, I was fortunate about this country that it's so international. Now, it raises the bar for humanity. It changed the game. But that was my precept on black-white. But I always was more or less, I was aware, but I kind of always stood up for myself. I didn't have as much, but I kind of was in the middle class when I went to school. I didn't have, I didn't have nothing. I had something. So I was socializing with white friends, Spanish friends. So I never had an issue with my education. And by the time I came a freshman, I had a white surrogate stepmom. So I had a very fortunate time. So I was, had experience in Memorial City. I was the first one going to, the blacks being in the all white spot. So I kind of was in the transition in a major way. So, even some country clubs. So I had that kind of experience as a black person. So I was very much open, and I was very, clearly I didn't have a problem expressing my opinion. So I was kind of dominant in that, and that kind of led up all the way even to my sports career. When I used to come out in the paper, my name is Joseph, but it's not Joe. So I never like to be called Joe, without that permission. People want to shorten your name up. And so that was a lot of little small things and that I took very notice of regarding black white.
Tell me about what was it like for you in school? Did you enjoy it? And what kind of sports did you do growing up? Was it always basketball?
Well, I played, my career in terms of sports and education. I was a tough guy because I was the youngest of 9. I have 2 sisters and 6 brothers, and our age bracket skips pretty much. So my sister is the one that's close to me is 5 years older. Then we got 7 years, and they're twins. Then 9 years, they're twins, and then we have 11. Then 12 and 15. So those are all my brothers and sisters, our age bracket separation. So my career, I was always tough because I'm playing football, playing sports, whatever have you. So doing what they do. Because in fact, I guess the first guy in football was Earl Campbell. I wanted to be like Earl Campbell, 30 for Houston Oilers. You know what I mean? So the whole thing, and I was tough because I had to play with the older guys. So I was forced to be good if I'm going to play with them. So that kind of was something in my sports career. But by the time I got to elementary school, I went to Bowie. And then, because they had no school out here. There were no elementary schools, no schools at all here. And went to Bowie from like the kindergarten to like 3rd grade. And I recall Miss Garrett, my first grade teacher, and she said I was kind of bad because I kind of knew a little bit because I have older brothers and sisters. So she said, oh, he's hyper, whatever, you know what I mean? So I liked her. So by the time I got to 3rd grade, Miss Moore, and then she was probably the first one I really would call out because she knew I could read, I could do different stuff. So she tried to not, because they was normally put the black and Hispanic kids in the lower class. They didn't have to read, like the whole segregation strategy, definitely. So at the time, 3rd grade, then I went to Jane Long, which is in Richmond, and I cast for like a year and a half, and then Huggins was built. So in 1978, the school here in Huggins was the first school out here. Like, the system, LS, the Marcus School District. So 1978, went to school, and then maybe 2 years, fourth to 5th grade, and then 6th grade, I went to George Junior High, catching the bus, riding on the bus, playing on the, singing on the bus, doing little things. And I recall one song I had, it was called, I used to crack up, it was called Why Yeah, Why Yeah. And so Coach Jack was the bus driver, and all the friends, Coach Jack, bald-head guy, he was driving the bus, and he let us sing it. And they played the beat, and I'm singing, boom, boom, boom. So I was kind of good. So I started playing basketball in the 7th grade, and it was difficult because I had to get home for practice. But my brother sacrificed, so I was fortunate to be able to get back. And I remember the racism and discrimination in sports. It's Coach Wilson. He's Coach Wilson. And I remember him very clearly because he wanted me to play a post player, but I was agile. I wanted to play up front. But anyway, the whole discrimination in sports, I remember that very vivid, how the game was controlled and all that. And then had Coach Kennedy, my 8th grade coach. And then high school, freshman year, I thought it was real good to go on the varsity, but I played in a freshman team. And that's when I met Coach Haddon was my coach, and he was a black guy. So he kind of, from that point, I was nurtured and carried with my talent, and the skills were seen. So academically, I moved up because when I was in 6th grade, they wanted to keep me in basic classes, and I was talking to the teacher, Miss Kennedy, in the special ed class. I said, why do you put us like this? And I was speaking ahead of the game because I was a student saying, how they doing black kids? But she was a teacher. She said, yeah, you're right, because he did this. So it was like that kind of level. So I was always majorly ahead talking to all those stuff like that. And so at my time as a freshman, it was the same kind of level. So I was a little ahead of the game. So by the time I got in the 7th grade, then middle class, general student. I didn't want advanced classes, but just try to get by. So that kind of tells a little bit about, I wish I would have challenged myself and did it. So in the sophomore year, I was on varsity. So that was kind of a big thing, being a sophomore on varsity. And that's kind of stuff started taking from that point on. And so I remember definitely the discrimination in sports very clearly. And but I overcame it, and I just always tried to, I was challenged, in a major way, but I learned to win. I learned to win the game. And so I guess that's probably one of the very first levels, especially in high school, because they used to make me play a post player where you have to wait to get the ball, you know what I mean? Right. And then I have to come out, get it, score it, then when things come, make steals. So I was fortunate. So after that, that's when I won the first district championship, in Terry High School, so that was kind of like for the accomplishment. But anyway, sports career, then I went to college. So after I went to Miami, the scholarship and all that, I my first year was good, more or less, because it wasn't necessarily discrimination. It was like Coach Foster was, Coach Walker, by the way, was my high school coach after Coach Haddon. Then Coach Foster was my coach at University of Miami, Bill Foster, man. He was a really good guy, interesting guy. But so he coached way back in the day when it was 2 postmen, 3 postmen. Just the game itself was changing. So that's why I wanted to speed the game up. So at that time, in '88, the game was still that, slow-paced game. And so I wanted to change. So, but I was kind of like the lead guy in Miami. I was a big guy, big player. I was coming in big and, as a future. So, but I was frustrated. I wanted to move a fast-paced game. So my sophomore year, it was like a little challenging because I was supposed to be the man. And I wanted to change the game, going against this and whatnot. And we didn't have a real successful season the sophomore year. And then Sam Yankovic was the athletic director. And so he called me in and asked me about what should we do. Should we get another coach or whatever? So, because I was that level of athlete. And so he was telling what they were thinking, and I said, yeah. And so he got Coach Hamilton. But Coach Bill Foster said this right here, I never forget, he told me this. The grass may not be as green on the other side. And it's true, because from that point on, no matter in my whole career, I worked my ass off. I'm a hard worker. Like, I'm practicing 2 or 3 hours a day because I'm thinking I want to get to the league. Because at that time, we played against Miami Heat, So that year, I worked everything off so hard, man. And Coach Hamilton came in with all this bullshit. So he came into the program and said, I'm going to redevelop the whole program. Because he's thinking about the business aspect of sports playing a big role. And it plays it always. Now, as you can see, it's really a big role. But then I started seeing the politics and really plays in sports. So my sports career after my junior year, that's my junior year when the whole BS of it, my senior year I didn't hardly play. But during that time, I worked myself out for an education. I went to summer school. So my first time away from home was kind of challenging. I did come home my freshman year. I worked half of the year, summer, then I came home for a little bit. And that was it for me coming back here. So one of the reasons why I went to Miami is because I wanted to be in more of a social, integrated culture environment versus a black-white. Because I was recruited by Tulsa. I couldn't, other schools. So, but I wanted to be in a whole, metropolitan type of environment. So my sports career after my junior year, going to my senior year, because now I'm thinking like if I'm going to the league, and it was a complete nightmare. But my off the court behaviors and stuff in the city of Miami. I got to know, had a mentor, knew like the mayor. I was really talking to some heavy business leaders. So, and I looked good. So I had a guy like, I was dressing just like Saks Fifth Avenue. I was doing those things that was very big then. Because I had NBA players, they come to me, hey man, let's hang out. You know what I mean? So I kind of had it, I had it special going on in college. People come to my apartment. It was just like a little more the star status type of stuff. And then when I did my junior year, even though all that was going on, I was in South Beach. So I got into a private club, Princess. So I met the owner of the private club, the way I met him, so I kind of treated myself as a star already, just in general, and so that's kind of like my sports career. And so the last part of, I didn't play, I knew they was blackballing me. So we went to we was in the Big East my last year. We went to Madison Square Garden. I was clean, just dressed up. I didn't even suit out because I knew I wasn't going to play I got injured early in the year. So, but he didn't want to play. I was one of those type of, transplants. You know what I mean? Like I'm just there now.
For optics or whatever.
Well, just because I got a scholarship, I got a contract. They don't have like they have now. You can just transfer. If they had that, it'd been a different ball game. But yeah. So I ended up going to New York, and we won. I was surprised we won the first game. Jerome got hot and we won. But I was so just in my own world at that point. And we went back to the hotel. They said, "Oh, you can't go back." Hell with that. I went back to Miami. You know what I mean? And the things still playing. So that's kind of like my sports career came to be. I guess I was so disenchanted, disenfranchised with the whole concept of basketball. So then at that point, I graduated on time. Then I I did some stuff with NBC as my intern. Then I worked with some, then I started working on the side with business owners because I worked like direct for the business owners, IGA, George Carvajal, different communities. So the mayor, Barbara Carey, and I had my mentor, Tony Jr. So I kind of had a lot of different ways at that point. And so when I graduated, I did a shoot, a photo shoot, get into the model industry because Miami kind of started graduating to the media, modeling, the place to be. And so that was like, those were the days when Luke Skywalker was big. Luke was real big. So going to, Luke Skywalker Club and all this, So, but the reality was hidden because I didn't have money and I didn't have any support systems and money. So, still trying to survive in Miami. It was just no money and this and so. So Hurricane Andrew happened. Now I'm out of school, no basketball, no, I'm just in reality now. And I'm black. You know what I mean? No support system, just the little things here. Don't know how to do resume, just everything was just from education and networks. And so Hurricane Andrew happened, I'll never forget it. Man. It was like, I ended up staying with my friends in Coconut Grove. The experiences, that was the first hurricane experience, man, was like amazing. The whole, just everything. The whole shaking, the whole thing with a hurricane and Hurricane Andrew. And the next day, man, was just devastating. And I have hardly no money, under $100, but I'm trying to survive. I had, just the whole functionality. And, it was just really, the transition of going from being in the halves or thinking that something's going to be in the half position. I'm just a normal, regular person out of school now without the process. So I said, man, I contacted people. I said, I'm going back. So I ended up coming back to Texas. I had a girlfriend with SMU. And I went to SMU for like a couple of times. And then one of the guys said, one of my friends in college, he was playing with the Rams. The Los Angeles Rams. So, and then he said, well, Stan is out there, my friend's out there, and he probably get out there. So Carl Roberts said, well, come on out. So now I'm in an apartment. I'm in Los Angeles, West Los Angeles. Robert Bailey. So he's he's in the NFL. I'm staying, but I still don't have any money. So anyway, I'm still my person. So what ended up happening, I'm there. So so Stan said, I got my cousin. He got a good connection out there with Young and the Restless. So they set an interview up for me. So not an interview, just come out and meet my cousin at CBS Studios. So I went to CBS Studios and I met Neil Parkman. He was telling about his idea, what he got to save the earth. And so that was a whole purpose-driven connection, like meeting God. Like you say, like when I say thank you, Jesus, the whole thing. That kind of feeling I got, and I felt connected when he told me about Save the Earth, how long he had the concept when he started, saying people saying have a nice day. And so in 1972, he said, no, Vietnam say Save the Earth, putting something in people's head that means something, so people can be more connected. Because he realized corporations was really destroying the environment. So that really how he pitched and gave it to me like that. And I said, this is what I want to live for. I mean, just in my whole everything, because it connected the environment from farming to really being part of something. And so that kind of was like the whole functionality, like my mind thinking, being in the game, playing ball, team concept and everything. And I thought that would be it. So at that point, Neil pitched it pretty good. And then I got on, they ended up getting me on the show. So I was an extra because I got to get money in my pocket, So I'm staying in my friend's apartment, going back and forth. So at that time, I'm still frustrated. Keep in mind, my friend's making money. When after the taxes they get 90,000, like Monday, So I'm in LA trying the whole gamut, but meeting Jamie, everything. I was this is the 1992, 93 era. So still frustrated, but I'm working on the rest of boom, boom, like a little something, like a little gig and whatever I'm going. So now I want to get out the apartment because I'm sleeping on the floor. They're in the league, you know what I'm saying? But we all just out of college, keep in mind. So it's a whole transition. We were being introduced to life. So, man, Roma, Pfeiffer, tall, all the whole experience. I'm driving this car to the game, but like we go to McDonald's, you think he's treat? I gotta have my own McDonald's. It was just like from college days, the whole thing stayed the same. So from there, the guy who I told you I knew it in Miami, who at the private club, Greg. So I kept talking to him. I said, man, I want to, because they had money. So now I'm asking, so I asked for money. I said, I want to do my own business. And I thought I knew the athletes, so I said, I want to do a nonprofit. And I thought for college kids coming to college, it'd be a good idea that we get a chance to just get into business, do business. So I came up with a concept called Entrepreneurs of the American Dream. Never forget it. Called Greg, boom, boom. So I got a chance. I got $4,000. So from there, I moved out. I moved to 1112 Armour House, right then. Now I'm living on the west side of the 405. So I'm jogging to Santa Monica Beach all the time, working out, listening to Charlie. I'm on Vincent Drive near Bundy. So I'm doing that. Then I'm still doing the extra. But now, Neil, Save the Earth, now I'm getting stickers, the shirts, everything. So all those businesses on Wilshire, I was hitting them, putting them out. Then I got a side job at a print shop, and then I'm still passing out, doing the extra work, And so it became kind of interesting because I'm promoting Save the Earth with all the different businesses, introducing and just promoting it. And then I met Dennis Weisberg. Never forget it. He's the owner of the Good Earth Restaurant. And Dennis was a great man. So Dennis was a Save the Earth connection too. He promoted Good Earth Restaurant. So it was all the groovy little deal. So everything was moving. So I kind of really liked it. I liked the fit. I liked everything I was getting involved in, you know what I mean? Smoking that good weed. Just, at the very beginning, man. And never forget it. So I ended up, because I got Will. So Neil gave me his van. Now I have a van. Before I didn't have a van, I was catching the bus or whatever. Now I have a vehicle and an apartment. You know what I mean? Because I was on my bike and all this type of stuff, man. So now I'm able to go down to Van Nuys, his van, had this orange van, like hippie van. You know what I mean? Fire, that's what happened. So anyway, now my neighbor ended up talking to me, trading the van in for his Mercedes, the old 1965 Mercedes. See, the reason being, keep in mind, I'm in Los Angeles. My friends, we still going to the club, comedy store. I mean, in Tupac. I mean, everybody's, it's a tight-knit circle at that time. This is in like 93. See what I'm saying? In that area. Yeah, but it's all different. It was all changing. So I ended up trading that van, because Neil loved me. Neil loves me. And I love him. So, man, so I'm going over there. So at the point, because he lives in the 808 Topanga Canyon. They live over in the, he live in the, with the executive producers and all that. So anyway, I had a meeting with Ed Scott. He's the executive producer of University, him and Neil's partners. And he talked to me. First time, I don't know big business. Keep in mind, this is the point. So he told me, I made that guy. We're talking about Danny Ramalotti, another actor. He made actors. He can make you successful. So I didn't understand. I'm at his house. I'm drinking that champagne, drinking it like water. $300. But anyway, he was talking to me. So and it was cool. So I was like, that's kind of like a point. I was part of the connection. Growing. Now I'm trying to make it. Still moving, boom, things move. Same old thing. So now I meet a girl. Her name is Tanya. It's my wife. She became my wife. And this is her. Bam. That's the engagement day. So we met. This is interesting because we met because my sister, she's here, and her mother was LA Fitness. Some of the fitness, Balance, the Balance, Bally's. That was the fitness. So they met. So she said, my brother out there, I was doing university. She said, my daughter out there, she's finishing up law school at Pepperdine. So I had, just so you know, I had lost my apartment because my car stopped. The Mercedes I got, because it was a lemon, that I traded for the van that was a brand new motor and everything. So now I have no apartment, and now I'm staying back with my friend Robert, you know what I mean? So I'm like back to that area. So I meet Tanya at, and we met on Santa Monica, Promenade Street, meet for the movie. She's late. And so we met, and from that point, she's late, so we went to the Cheesecake Factory. I had a little money, I was tight, everything was no money factor. So we ate at Cheesecake, so we kicked it. And from that point on, we stayed together, it was like boom, and she lived in Calabasas, other side of Malibu. A whole nother level to the game. She had it, you know what I mean? So now I'm cool, doing Young Investor, but I'm staying, and everything here is driving her car, it's just a whole everything. Out of that over here, so I just was very frustrated, and I just really wanted my whole lifestyle in Miami. I wanted it, you know what I mean? So I'm thinking now I want to get back to Miami, get back, and just really I wanted success. And so my first Christmas was like 94. I said, I called Greg, so I get back to Miami, man. I got to just go back, just get back with Miami. So anyway, I left California, and never forget it. Neil cried at the theater the whole day. It was so sad because he's mature. He probably knew. I don't, I'm young, bam, but I'm living, So that happened, broke her heart. Tanya ended up, she's moving out. She moved in an apartment in Miami with me. We live over there. I didn't get the job with Ryder, with all the part. That fell through, and it just, then we come back here, moved from Miami back here, because it didn't work out for her. We didn't like it. And then we end up, didn't work out here. Then moved back to Boston, move up to Boston. Because now I'm trying to be with my friend who got money that I can make some success. That's the end of the story. After that, she moved up there. So just getting caught up with the speed of my journey. After she moved up there, got married in 96. And then it didn't happen again. I come back here. Then I got back with Neil to do the California gift show. I did that. Then I told you this what happened with the jail. Then the tour started. After I got out, went back out. So that's kind of like the climax of the sports year that came out.
Jeez.
That's everything though. That's like, that gives you verbatim the timeline all the way until the tour, because then the tour goes bam.
Okay, so um, you're busted now, and you're back here, and then you went up to Boston. And are you still married to Tanya?
No, we got
No.
it.
All right. So
No.
y'all got divorced. What happened up there that?
No, we didn't get divorced. We moved back here.
Oh, you moved back here.
We both moved back here.
Okay.
And we moved back here, but now I'm in her mother's house.
Oh.
And we stayed on one side of the house. Keep in mind, I don't have money. And so now I'm in their house, they're black, blah, blah, blah. So it's like I'm dealing with that lasts less than 2 months. She said, I'm trying to get on my feet, started work, grad school, just try to survive. And I got a job at Black Coffee Restaurant. So the Black Coffee Restaurant, so, just like, and so, black folks, when you're in the, you're in the have position, her friends said, her mother's sitting at home and her friends come over, he working at Black IP and she got a law degree? So you can imagine the pressure, the structure, and so I'm driving her car. I mean, it was just everything. Then it was really hard. It was the most painful thing that came. She said, my wife said, you have to get out the house. So I came back here at my mom's house over there, everything. We still got a wood heater over there, the old school wood heater. You know what I mean? But so I came 360. So from 360, stayed with my brother. I came up. And so how the financial thing happened. Then I got a little hoopty, started working. I was working at the night auditor. Then I did a little small little yard here, and really just trying to survive. So when I did the California gift show, I made some of the interns out. That's when I went back into the modeling, but then me as a production for everything. I was doing trade shows. When I meet Neil, we was doing trade shows, stuff like that. But the California gift show was really something big because I had a lot of different products. I was a future model, the product in it. So that's kind of like the whole catalyst of it. And then coming back, I'll tell you, pulling the company together. So that's when I created the company called Sound Water. So that's my wife was divorced and everything. So that's kind of like really something, the nucleus phase that happened that made me really say I wanted that success with it, when everything. So that's why the whole variances came about.
All right, talk about how vibration and water and like the other day I was here, we had the vibrated water or the clean water. Okay.
Yeah.
Just give people what is like, how do vibrations affect the vibrations of other things, and kind of talk about where you got your name Sound Water.
Well, the name Sound Water came about, I was going through a real difficult time as I was living in Boston, very difficult, having these dreams, and my wife was a copywriter. So she was working, she was making the money, and I was having these real dreams. I'm talking about dreams like speaking in tongues, and it was for like months and months. So one day I came home, it was the evening time. I live in 63 Maverick Square in the loft, never forget it. And wow, I was sitting on the sofa, and I just started crying. I couldn't not stop crying, hysterically. So it was just something, it was like, I guess it was a complete meltdown with everything. Just thinking about it, it was like this everything. You know what I mean? Just trying, wanting to succeed, man. And she asked me, she started crying. She was like, everything. So she asked me, how do you see yourself? Because I'm still trying to find myself. And I said, sound. I said sound, and just blah, 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 explained the sound. And then as I said, so she said water. So that's kind of like when the name came about. And so, as you know, we got married, and I ring Sound and Water. And so when I did the California gift show, and on February 14th, 1998, my wife and I separated. Back in Houston, she's at over the house. I'm staying with my sister at the time on Newsbrook. And I just went man, they started crying again. I'm sending her roses, writing her love letter. I love her so much, blah, 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 blah. Just the commitment, you know what I mean? And I wrote her a letter. I sent it to her, the flowers, whatever. And so I said, I made my mind up to make it happen. So pulled everything. So that's when I really started creating the company Sound and Water. It was Sound and Water first, and then I put it together, Sound and Water. So that's how the name came about. And then I created the court, into the basketball court, the whole thing, and explained how the court came together. So all of it came to be like it really started merging in, even catapulting, even with GeoBody, you know what I mean? When GeoBody from the physical, then going to Big Prayer, which is where we are now. So the strategy and purpose of Sound Water was just it's spiritually driven from that phase of it. So another cluster of it in the whole journey, me getting to that point, I did by myself, trying to work it. Now I'm still modeling with this agency here in Houston. So I get a gig with one of the biggest gigs I got, NBA and the PGA, David Robinson and Phil Nicholson. So I went on to go see in San Antonio, and I nailed the job. So now I'm a licensing agent for Save the Earth. I'm still developing that company. So now I'm talking to a lot of other companies, and particularly I was talking to one company called CTN out in Atlanta, College Television Network. And so anyway, we're trying to do with this. So Neil called me. So he's trying to help too, because the more clients I get, it gets paid by royalties, So all that was happening. And so I stopped doing what I was doing. I said, I nailed the concept. I nailed it. So I go up there. They got the hotel, got everything. You know what I mean? I'm just a part of the commercial, but I'm not featured in the commercial, not at all. But I felt big. So I end up having dinner by myself on the Riverwalk in San Antonio. Never forget it. Cried again, having lunch by myself. And God spoke to me. God said, team preparing for heaven on earth. That's exactly how it all started. So once that happened, I just started. So keep in mind, I'm building the company Sound Water as a licensing agent. So I have to come up with a concept to move Save the Earth. That's how everything started building. So all the components. In fact, one of the pictures I'm going to show you, and I found the first piece that I did is right here. This piece is amazing because this is if this is pertaining to the journey, you'll be able to see it. There it is. Because I found these, there it is right here. This is it. This is the very first piece I put together. So now I'm writing, so the concept I had in mind, it was called consume it, share it, be it, and wear it. So the evolution of it, so that'd be all these are components. Now I got team preparing for heaven on earth when that experience. Now I'm building the components. So now I write, this was the second phase. I'm sending to Journal Mills. I'm thinking I got the recipe for these companies, for these organizations to get involved behind something very potent, very powerful. Save the earth, you know what I mean? Get into the whole thing. I did, Lucky Charms, put the logo in there, just the whole thing. Harpo Productions, all these companies. So that was at the beginning of me trying to create it. So that phase happened, and then I got accused of, my car got involved in an accident, and then I got accused of aggravated assault when my car had been hit. That was 9.5 months. So after I do those 9.5 months, all that work, I went inside the jail, and that's when I physically created the court. So that's when I cut the court. So when I got out, right? When I tell you, from when I got out, then I went out, my mother said, well, you probably get out. So I went back to California, and I had talked to the guys before when I was building the company, and let me show you a picture of these guys. These are the guys. So it was cool because I found these pictures, and it was very emotional for me yesterday. There you go. These are 0 equal 2 production. These guys are the hippies. I would see Stephen Saunders and Michael M.
Yeah.
So they live in Newport Beach, Costa Mesa. Now I'm going to the real greenies. You know what I mean? The real environmentals. You know what I mean?
Right.
So now,
Sierra Club.
yeah, there was this like they're big. They're like grassroots. So they stay across from Mother's Market, totally green. So now I'm there, and he got a contract with the thing. So I'm doing some IT work. So on my feet. So I'm sleeping on the floor. Michael M. right there, bless his heart. and he's an artist, and we was going to 24-hour fitness. I was working, I was just gradually coming. So maybe in about 4 or 3 months or less, then I did a food. Then I did a sound and water. Brought my company back. I did a brochure, little brochure, and I did a food drive. And that food drive brochure, whatever, just grassroots. I did that, and then it was with Hempstead Company and Sound and Water. So pull that together in June 2. So maybe a month after, so in January when I got back, so I said I had some stuff before, my bikes, whatever, we had talked about it. Neil and I was talking about what's going to be the message for the new millennium. And so it's 99 now. So, so that was kind of like a whole build up. Everybody was having this whole anticipation, 99. So from 99, and I said, well, I'm going to tour. So we thought, so Neil, we came up, his slogan was, 2000 New Millennium, Save the Earth, boom, the whole message on the back of it. And so I had those stickers. I was already pushing the Save the Earth alien shirt, grassroots style. So now I had my bike, I got it shipped out there, and I had a computer. Now I'm standing in Santa Ana. So you got Costa Mesa, Santa Ana, that area, Orange County. So, man, I never forget this guy. I stayed in Santa Ana, this little room I was renting, and I said, I'm going on tour. I had my computer, laptop, everything I had. I'm taking the Greyhound. So I went up to Berkeley, because I wasn't going to go back to the whole tour. I took the bus up there to Berkeley, got to about 3 in the morning, didn't know no sense. But I had previously went up there and stayed at the Claremont Hotel. I told you about that. So the Claremont Hotel. And so that officially started the tour. I was hitting the university, so I hit Berkeley, started creating my flyers, grassroots flyers, hitting the city. All different type of things. So that's part of how the tour started. So I want to discuss that. So that's kind of cluster, then not having that success, 2001, 2002, all the countries and whatnot. And those are photographs that we can be able to see. And so now driving on to creating GeoBody Sense Fitness, because no success, IT-wise, et cetera, boom. So now we're at, we're in the 2006. So now I'm still hustling. Now I'm trying to hustle to get money. So in case, this happened, some misfortunate things happen. So now I'm frustrated. After the tour, I get sponsored, go to New York, I had a sponsor, so I start traveling different countries. 2003, that country, 2004, this country, 2005. So now we come all the way up to 2007. And I'm here in America, because I'm thinking I'm trying to hit the IT now. Because keep in mind, the tour started in 2000. By the time I got in Boston, I thought I was going to hit IT boom, soundwater.com. I'm thinking soundwater.com is the greatest, right? So it didn't happen. So now, 2007, I had this criminal case in Seattle. I'm at the airport in Houston. I got to go up there to try to get my computer back, put that in whatever. So I said, hell with this. It was like $300. I'm not paying it. So I said, when is the next flight getting out this country? I literally went over to the next terminal, went over there, did my thingamajig, and said, Frankfurt. I got right, he got me in there, boom. I landed in Frankfurt, Germany. And so, Frankfurt, Germany, and so at that time it's cold, it looked cold too. So I stayed at the hostel the first night, and the second night was Prince. Prince was in the Super Bowl. Prince was in the Super Bowl. It's a true story. So I met this lady, and she thought it was somebody else. So I said, well, want to meet me? She said, okay, well, meet. She lived in the area. So we met, and we just shared, and then she lived in the museum district. So she said, well, you can stay at my house if you want. So I stayed at her house, and from that point on, I went from there, doing my Europe deal, kept working, building a company, came up with Dream Team, Europe, different countries, team this, started traveling, and did different little levels. And that's when 2008, when I officially started moving my GeoBody. evolving the whole thing. And so you'll see how that evolved from the court. So each thing started elevating. So with GeoBody still doing all of these measurements, consistently developing, traveling the world, and then now interfacing with sound, water, emission, and the physicality of, giving the people something that they can have. Because people always say, well, what is sound water? What is it? What are you giving? Just like you say, what's the vibration? What am I getting? What is it? Is it instantaneous? Is it a microwave? So having a physical thing, trying to come up with something, so I started coming up with this whole particles of the hand and everything. Just start grinding. So I guess, when I created when I went to Canada, I had a friend of mine. We started doing the calendar. The time since calendar started in 2014 with Wani. I show you the picture of how that evolved. You'll see the picture for it. Very interesting. In each generation, and then by 2015 in Georgia, you know what I mean? Tbilisi, Georgia. So I kept at that point, I went to Middle East, all the countries traveling, still, but definitely had a format of bringing the concept of GeoBody and the sound water into the whole venue. You know what I mean? Because it was just, and so I kept believing. So the tour I had, I guess towards the end, I went broke. Had no money again. Now I'm in, because I was living in Australia, so I got stranded. And my visa ran out when I was going to fly back to Australia. So I got stranded in Cambodia. I was in Thailand. Stranded. No money, no nothing. Didn't see this, didn't. So anyway, I figured out how I can go. The U.S. Embassy, they'll provide when you're desperate. They'll give you with your passport. They'll fly you back to the U.S. So anyway, I figured it out, did a little research, and I figured I'm gonna move to Hawaii. Hawaii is a good weather, and they got a lot of good, homeless type of support systems and whatnot. I flew to Hawaii. This is interesting. No, so I'm in Hawaii. Made some Jello work here or there, but didn't happen. So one of my friends that with the studio in Milan, so she was working for the royal family. So she was in California. So she said, well, you can fly out here. So I flew to California and got back, rented a car, and then I came back. I drove here with the Val. I went up to Montana, then I drove all the way back here. Now I got a rental car that I had back then. Back in the boom. I'm moving now. So, but long story short, now I end up driving to Miami, think I'm gonna get back in my job again, get back in my networks again, and get arrested because the car they reported stolen because it was rental too long. But anyway, so what's cool about it, that it was one day whenever, and I came back here, and at that time, I've been back here, then my son, then I went up there and I got a car from Ari, my friend, and came back, and then my son, I ended up picking him up. Then I came back here. I'm staying in my house with my son and my mother, right over here. And during that time, I said, fuck, I got to, make something happen. So I end up getting a container. I got a container, right? So I was like 2017. So I've been here physically, here, no one else since 2017. So got here, got my son, tried to then start gradually, do it. It was on the ground, just start building out. And everything started developing gradually, this cause and effects. So in 2019, I officially created GeoBody Sense Fitness LLC. So boom. So that's when I created that company. And then in I think 2020, then I created Big Prayer Museum. Because I started so gradually, so all these moving parts start developing with all these culmination of things. So I officially started this evolving. So for the last few years, with all the things that's been happening here in America and everything, and landing, the focal point with the final company, Big Prayer Museum. And so the purpose of what I want to see happen is like, here's the purpose of this, right? Here's the guideline, and I'd like to be able to interface people with the court. So now my strategy says, here's the snippets. So it has to be, the goal is team preparing for heaven on earth. Now you have the whole system, which is OSBW, own it, share it, be it with it. And then I want to do an interface for the end users to also be part of the museum on a global level. So I want people to also say, we're all part of it. It's something that's living. Sound water is us. You know, how do we raise our frequencies up? With all the information that we have, we become that. So some of the simple things, to answer the question, what I've been doing is that just being aware of information that is healthy for you. So that could be a good platform. And so the strategy is getting people to interface with our advertising system. If they come on board, so all these companies I've been dealing with now, from the law firm, the cell tower company, so all these companies now, so I want to start piggybacking and interfacing these companies to all become part of it. Your company coming, boom, what does it mean? Whatever aspect, if you have senses, you can be part of the growth of it. And everybody got a big prayer, so it's a good interface. This is just the structure for how I get to this point. How did I get to this point? And so I kind of want, we can chop it up to make it how everyone make it, but I want people to interface to the gaming phase. You know what I mean? And say like, boom, this is how this works. So I guess the strategy is, great, here's the purpose of it. And the purpose really comes from God. It comes from something higher than me. You know what I mean? It comes from something that it doesn't have to be defined. And then when I talk about the innovation part, now I'm talking about my mathematical meaning. I got all the little nits and pieces. The mantra. Geobody has a mantra. Talk about the artwork. So the strategy that I really have is just being able to get the people now participating with Big Prayer Museum. Because having a Big Prayer Museum as a focal point, it's a no-brainer. Because it's being able to engage people from all walks of life.
And it's a play on words too, like it is a big prayer, and this place is also called Big Prayer.
Right.
And I've learned that there's a small prayer or a
little prayer. Right. Little prayer.
Can you talk a little bit about how the
came about?
Big Prayer, like I understand, like it's a dual kind of tertiary meaning, like
right. Well, it's interesting because you know, all like my grandmother they called this Big Prayer, and so Big Prayer was the area more or less like, I tell you, like more, I use the word religion, but not religion. I guess I should say more morally correct or more, you know, I don't know the word because I don't use these words anymore. What's right or whatever. You know, how do you orient that? And little prayer is something like moonshine, little bootlegging, you know, gambling. So little prayer literally have like a beer drink, you know, like, well, up here it's a church, you know, all this type of kind of thing. And you know what I'm saying? Like that kind of concept. Like, you know what I mean? Not to say Vegas to Oklahoma or something. I just gotta guess at it. But anyway, but the Big Prayer came about really like how I understand it. The black folks call this big prayer. And little prayer is where my grandfather is down there. They call it little prayer. So the orientation of that kind of came just like that, you know. So it's interesting because, you know, but how I can explain Big Prayer and Little Prayer is with those because no one else, because I'm asked, like, asked the LLC, I don't know numbers, I don't know, this is just how I know it all my life. You know, so when we try to get history or get information, it's sometimes painstaking, you know, in the process. But I like to reference this Big Prayer, but physically, topographically, this area is higher than Little Prayer. Now that's physically. So topographically, that is definitely lower. That's definitely like, you know, the whole everything's lower, and this is topographically higher.
Tell me about the fingers. Can you talk about each one and why they're important? You know, to not only
how it came about,
and you, but to also spirituality and how everyone can kind of use it to guide their life.
Well, how that came about, and this is a core cluster inside the court. I was in jail during that time. The development, boy, I was in I was in the felony tank. Now keep in mind, you can imagine I was scared as hell, but of my age, and I never been, you know what I mean? Now I'm looking like, bam, couldn't get out. So it's a guy named Third Ward. He gave me a tablet when I got up there on the floor in Harris County. He gave me a tablet. So I moved to the wall. I was on the top bunk, 'cause they do bunks. And so I'm just thinking. And just how it came to me. That was dreaming to say, you know, you say, this is number one. 'Cause I'm thinking about back, I'm reviewing my whole journey because I'm locked up. So, you know, I said, this is number one. And God said, no, this is one. So when that came to me, I thought real deep when I was meditating, man, this is one. So when I got this as one, so it came 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? So the 1 in basketball is a point guard, the 2 is a shooting guard, the 3 is the forward, the 4 is a power forward, and the 5 is the post, a big center, right? So that's the orientation. So we're talking about, well, that's the focus of a shot, right? So when the hand came to me, that was the first phase. So I started orienting everything with that mathematically. And so the power forward, right, is the 4. That's a 4. That's a 4. So I thought, well, that's a big guy. You know, the 4 is a power forward move. So I would orient that for the mouth. Now, what's interesting about the analogy I'm using basketball to the mouth, because you'll see what the ring finger is operating. Because that was before consuming. Because so the ring finger, because you use your mouth to eat. Without eating, it's difficult for you to what? Survive.
Do anything, yeah.
No, you can't. Yeah, so that's the connection to the 1 to the 4. So that's 5. You see. So that's the real important issue. So you see, I got it from basketball. So now the 3, right? So it was a wingman. So the 3, he connects it from the point going in, does a whole lot. So the nose made sense for that, which is the long finger, right? That made perfect sense for me. So now the 2 was nothing, because that's shooting, because that's your eye. That's just a shooting. It's a 2. It's a shooting guard. So the 5 is the center. But now that covers the whole encompassment, because the goal is closest to the goal. So that's the ear. That's the 5, right? But you get it. So geographically, see, so basically I use that analogy to the court with the whole process of how I created the senses. So that's why on the court, the hand is a core level. So from that, the senses oriented feel, that's the most important you got to do when you relate to that, right? See, right? Smell, taste, and hear. Now, when you correlate those, when you really connect them, when you move outside the ranges of them, now you put those analogies into the senses, now you can be able to orient them. You know what I mean? You when you think about it, really think about it. Because the first senses you got is the feel. That's the point. You mean, if you think about it, that's the first thing you have to do. So that made sense to me. So what happened is the orientation of each of the fingers started relating themselves to the senses. So when I put the senses instead of the numbers with them, then it take from that point, then I start orienting them. I mean, I'm thinking when I first came up with the taste poles, because of the taste poles, how I put it together, it was like the taste poles orient with all the operations. So the taste poles, you got the O, S, B, W. So you got your 2 fingers up front and the 2 little fingers. So I'm literally just gripping them like this. So, and then the see here. Right, and you close it.
Okay.
You see?
Yeah.
No, you don't have it. Look.
No,
Watch this. Look at this. This is how you can do it easy. See here? Right? So now look. So you should have, right. So, nope. You see where you are? Look at your hands. There you go. So look, you see where they are, right? Yeah. Go to opposite. Okay, now put them together. Put your index finger on your right hand on your ring finger on your left hand. So this is good. Where's your left hand ring finger?
forget it.
So anyway, this is important because now you have coordination, all the connection. So you got open, close, right? Boom. This is my palm. This is the back of my hand. So when you got the relationship to the open and close, you got 2 sides of everything. So part of the process, once you orient to that, so now I'm focused on the ring finger. And so the thumb's connected to that. This is just a grip. So how I orient the composition of geobody poses is polarization. So I evolved, geobody came about doing the push-ups, using all the resistance. So when I evolved doing my training, it just made sense to me. So connecting that to the hand and have polarization, it makes sense, my right and left side of my body. So therefore, you can always align yourself to position yourself with it. Make sense? So even if you just touch your ring finger with the tip of your index finger. See? So you need help with this, see? But it's important. So now look, you know how they say all of the things, if you just go with just the tap and touch each finger. So alternate each touch. Now stop and think about what finger's touching. So you try to touch it. Now think about it. Your ring finger is your mouth and your index finger is your eye. So anyway, these are just small little levels to orient it. But my strategy, how I came up with it, is just, it wasn't overnight. It wasn't overnight. It wasn't overnight. So it's not something that I cheated on a test. It's nothing like that. It's a complete process. So at this age now, me being able to look back and go back and put it together, I think it's a blessing. It's a blessing for not only, the determination of just, in fact, this morning I was talking about what would I call it. I was talking about, I told my friend, I said, how I feel excellent. And I said, so she asked the question to me, what is beyond excellent? I said, the momentum of living in excellence. So the court, when the game phase, it says the momentum of love. So the whole structure for the court, when it says momentum of love, that is the game. So we have the act of love for the environment, for all those corner parts. Everything will make sense. Even when you decide to eat, decide to put something together, you'll orient yourself for the better part of you. When something feels wrong, you say, oh, that doesn't feel right. So we evolve to it. But now as humans, we see each phase. So when I look back and see the bad things happen to me or good things happen to me, a guy said, when you at a discomfort, you are waiting for more comfort. You know what I mean? So if you comfort, you'll stay the same. You won't get the rhythm. But now if you go and say, oh, I want to get that. I want to know how he does that. I want to figure this out. I want to feel how my hands feel. You know what I mean? But you plan it. Like even learning to play the piano, I'm quite sure. I'm just saying all these things all is a process. So I want people to come to Big Prayer Museum and to start participating with it, to want to become a member, in it and for it, because I want it to grow. In order to make something grow that's living, we have to nourish it. And so that's kind of like the most important thing is that I want people to see that it comes from an authentic place. And working from an authentic place, whether better or worse. I love white, black, I love people. You know what I mean? It's not, we have to get way beyond the past in terms of holding on to negativity. And so part of me evolving and making this court, it says think, act positive. So the word tap is the whole structure for the game. I can't have it. So when I thought about the whole level, how I made it happen, when I say soundwater.com, think, act positive. So that's like a triple threat, or that's like the whole thing of the existence of it. Thinking, acting, positive. So from that spirituality, I use that analogy of having think is with the faith. Act is with the hope. Love is with being positive. So I use all those analogies. So now you got O, S, B, W. Each O, your mouth can do more than just eat food. You can talk with your mouth, you know what I mean? So these sense components made sense. And so the whole analogy to everybody's on the court, if you can think, you know what I mean? So it's a very, and the team fill the drive within. That's the team. The players is conscious play. So those two elements is like engaging people. You can't discriminate. It's a process. So to play the game is about conscious play. So now to be a player of it, and so now the whole thing was I'm in a PC. I mean, it started out all these basic terminologies from what's horizontal, what's vertical. So from the court, and then evolve into welcome to the game. So that's the physical part. But when you first come into the preface of it, operating system bandwidth, that's the entrance point. So, and part of, me being black, when I say black, meaning I don't have the financial support systems, that having a system to be built, having a great website, but I just want to be able to get the message out that, hey, I built this, I did this. So it gives, now, boom, I got my own Big Prayer Museum logo. Geobody spent. I mean, so all of this evolved, but evolved from Save the Earth. And so I have to give credit to the whole seed that's planted, and this is like, I mean, it's a really amazing story. And so now being able to go back and see these footages, so when people come to see I'm featuring, I'm being the first artist being featured, but I'm being featured in my artwork because part of the stuff that I have done, it became art, and we are art. I want people to see that we want Big Prayer Museum to be global. I want to be able to interface. I want to push the envelope and do great things. I want people to consistently, who are doing great things, to come on board. I may want to acknowledge it. I just want to be part of something that represents success for humanity.
Why this community? Why is it important for it to be here?
Well, I guess I was born here, I was raised here, and just it could be. And I was thinking this little, not Guam, but it's another island. It's a U.S. island. I'm thinking to visit it, but it's in that area, so it could be anywhere in the world. So it has nothing to do. When I say globally, it's strictly that's the focal point of the world map, and I'm very fortunate. Just for you to get the truth of the story, how could I have Big Prayer Museum and I have the global map? I mean, just think, if I thought of this thought of it, damn, that's pretty strong. But sometimes you can't think of it. Something is going through you. So that's the vibration. When you ask me about the water, now you're seeing it, you know what I mean? Because it's really, we do not control the narrative that's living. Now you see what you mean by that. How can we not? We don't.
Can you talk about how our lives are all kind of connected in a fabric, and that's really what the community is? And
well, water. You're talking about water and how that happened. I guess truly being educated, with all the real spiritual powers that I really believe in, with water and how they're connected. It's such a so many ways I can answer that question. But air, we are breathing the same air. We're sharing all the time. I mean, even our frequencies are sharing. But as a human, the human particle, if you look at it, it's something, it's pretty amazing, I mean, it's really amazing. So we know that we are of something greater. Just that part when you ask like that connecting to that something, which you don't know, you know what I mean? So I think that just the natural environment connects us all. And I think that raising the awareness for the environment to really understand that is really that's the element. It's the element within itself. That's how we move. The reason the planet is moving in the wrong direction because we're not moving together. It's not. It don't take. I mean, you watch the cattle. They know how to move together. on a real simple level. But I think, in my journey, and even if I tell you, if this is my last day on Earth, I feel like, I've ran a really great race up until this point, and most people don't get a chance to reach back and collect something and say that it's something that's remarkable and to fulfill back and look at some of the work. I wish that I can look back at it and have achieved. You know, I have to have some great stories, meet great people, great interviews, people from all sides. You know what I mean? But most of the people in all the journey, people are love. Well, it's more good people than bad people, and it's frustrating when you enter a space from a hurtful manner, or not in that space from what I mean, and it's fragile. I mean, we all are fragile. You know what I mean? Say like, why I have to take my gun with me? And sometimes now my environment says, well, I want to protect myself. Why do I have to lock my door at my house? You know, you go to Sweden, a lot of people keep the doors open. So you feel different. And so part of introducing that conscious play with Big Prayer Museum and the whole thing, when you say like, because I feel like if I get people to acknowledge that process, just think what we can really do. I mean, so people are scared to have this type of success because sometimes we are, since you say about being connected, sometimes we do have that, testosterone, the estrogen, we are made up of a complex, we're made up of a complex and a simple energy at the same time. I mean, it's just what it is, so I think that once we just focus on just the basics of, we all are trying to, just really push that. And that's, I think, even when I went back out to California, man, Michael M. Pass, he's the guy on that picture when I said, so after I went to Australia and came back, I commissioned him to do it. So he painted it, whatever. And he painted a lot of different people, whatever. And it was interesting because he's from Poland, and his father, he came here and he was real young, played the piano. I said, he's from Poland. I met so many people from all over the world. And so and each time having the opportunity to say something, do something, but when I start doing the geo body, I'm sending out that energy. I know my presence. I not only believe, but I know I believe. And so so that gives that energy, that gives that motivation factor that becomes a game changer to make a difference. That's pretty much it.
You've got a life full of circles, my friend. If you think about it, and you talk about simple and complex, a circle is simple, but it's complex. I mean, it's perfect and it's 360 degrees. How do you get it like that? You started here, now you're here. You're trying to save the earth through connections of circles or looking back, what do you think of all that? That's bigger than...
Definitely bigger than me. Definitely bigger than, it's bigger than me, but the timing of it, I think the time since calendar, I envision that to be something remarkable for the future. Because once people, like today is on the sense of taste. Imagine, I believe what I've invented, that we really focus on that. And really, I believe that our senses, they also have a mind of their own. Now, with that being said, those are all part of the moving parts, you know what I mean? But yet we're still one person. You know what I mean? So I really think that, and like I said, engaging to the interface, like for example, on my mathematical system that I use, the method of it, like the word hand and spirit is equivalent numerically. The word team. And so they're both on 56. Just an analogy, And you have image, which is 65. But anyway, so numerics plays a big role, and I'm interested in seeing how people can utilize that part of the innovation that I'm bringing forth. And just like I said, I want people just, gradually, I want to be able to have things organized so people can participate with something of it and give people their space. That's why I want to have people so they have their space. They have their own space. And I want people, I would like everyone, I wanted from the kids that's coming up, I focus on the museum, focus on historical. That's to be a historical museum, and our second niche is stopping abduction of children, saving the children. So with those two parameters, with Big Prayer Museum, as a nonprofit, I think that we still rebose into a lot of other areas, meaning our charity work we want to do. I want to get involved into in fact, yesterday the fire department came here. Great job. They came here, unlocked my vehicle. My keys was locked in. And so we're talking to them. And I'm saying, man, you know what? I said, this is a great outfit for Big Prayer Museum because we're having different organizations to teach kids, to teach people in general stuff, and then people to raise awareness for it, because this is like, at the end of the day, it's about the public. So when I built Sound Water, I was using terms like a public benefit system. Then it used the 6 terms, a conduit, a portal. So all the developments that I have put in there, it just kept evolving. But now with Big Prayer Museum, we have a platform that we can be able to showcase the results of people positive action.
Talk a little bit about what you think people positive action is.
Well, Greenpeace came to mind right away. Living in Vancouver and just having that experience. And that's Earthworks Festival. I found that picture. You know what I mean? There's a lot of different players that I've met, but I think positive action, and there's so much going on, positive action. I think there's just about culminating and being able to see it. It could be able to just, as so simple as just helping someone across the street.
Raising your vibration.
That's it. It's just doing the positive action because, it has to start from a level that's non-monetary. So I built this whole damn thing. Yes, did I get money every now and then? Yes. Did I get money that way or this way? Who knows? But the fact of the matter is, I kept on. Was I knocked down? You know what I mean? Was I knocked down? It's more than just being knocked down. I was sometimes buried and still feel buried. But that has not stopped me. And I just want, every day when I write my sense of the day, my Instagram, and sometimes what do I mean? And now I'm in the 2000, but I started in 2014. My whole cognitive process, the whole level where I'm at, is a blessing for all of us. We are all blessings to each other. And so once we raise that vibration, like you said, the vibration, we raise that, then we can do a lot of great things. Because we're close, because the reason all the negative stuff is happening, because guess what, we're so close, we're being tilted. So our frequency, even the pattern of cognitive thinking has shifted. There's no way in hell when you have violence happening in school, this shit been building up. It just didn't happen one time. They know they can do something. These schools know if you have GeoBody in schools and have a fun way of putting this platform in it, at least their senses can come together. They can do fun things. There are a lot of different things. And now with the IT evolving as it has, it's dangerous. It's more dangerous because now you have so much easier of things can do because we have responsibility. So cultivating responsibility with something that's non-living versus something living. At least farming, nature, getting everybody to grow a plant. You know what I mean? It's just certain things these are engineering positivity. Anytime you're looking, part of being with it was about the results that you're looking for. You know what I mean? And so that's why the eye is very important. It's next to your sense of feel. And your nose is between your eye and your mouth. So that's like those important parts, and we have to start being thankful for those. We have to be able to be thankful for the little guy that allows you to hear. You know what I mean? He's small, but look at him. He hear close and deaf and hear far. So, I mean, these are just basic, stuff to come at it. And I think that some way soon people may start, I mean, I think on a grandiose scheme, people may think of, big prayer museums, sound, water, and geobody, and really say, the evolution of something, and I think that's kind of like what I'm most proud of for me to be at that point. I mean, you think of geobody, you know what I mean? Geography, I mean, the whole flavors of it, you know what I mean? So I think that's pretty, looking back, I think it's pretty cool. It's cool to have, been me. Yeah, it's cool, really. It's really cool. I mean, I'm seeing pictures like now. I'm seeing pictures like when I'm going back and doing it. Oh, makes my heart go. Some of them really like, oh, the first picture I shot. I can't wait to see some of these pictures. They're just, and since you got me editing and going through them, when I saw that picture, man, it's like I can tear up. That's when I first got there because we was talking for days, talking about what's the ideas, what you can do. I mean, but my nephew, he met me on tour. Now,
Oh.
in 2000, this is in 2000, and now my nephew is a dentist.
Good for him.
You know what I mean? So, it's different. I mean, so those are good journeys. You're seeing some people in the, this is the whole thing. And I'm hoping that part of what I want to achieve with this is that I would use this part for people come to the museum, have something, and to get the story. I mean, and then I want to engage people like the elderly people, Miss Zerling, all the people they have. I'm finding stuff in our community that was here locally, the special local, black, white, green, purple, no matter who you are, getting people of all walks of life to contribute or share the information, especially historical information. Because I know the Balls, I've been visiting with them, the Dixons and the Balls, and I know that I've been hearing Mr. Jones, Ronnie Jones, he's been talking about, he has a history and knows where the grave site of Churchill's Fulsher. And so Churchill Fulsher, he's the guy who won the first Kentucky Derby. And so it's interesting. So I'm always getting this new information. Now his son was, they were slave owners, whatever, but his son gave a lot of property because the lady who raised him was the black people who raised him. So they gave a lot of land to him. So I want to raise some awareness on history, and also I want to stop some of the things that's going on of covering up our history. So there are going to be some things that it's going to stop financial growth, but it's going to allow history to be maintained. I renamed these roads. So when I first came, so some of the accomplishments that I've already had, I've had accomplishments. I renamed the roads. When they was building out here, I contacted the county, and they asked for my aunt. She was living, all them, to find out about some of the grave sites. So there's a lot of little things like that that's been involved. I want to do a whole beautification project. So I want people to really be able to come here and feel at home. I want people to feel at home. And this property, I want to really going to expand it for the surrounding areas. I want it to be I want to make it more interactive. I want to make it a benefit for everybody. And I want to, so I need people ideas, what steps we should take, anything they can do for contributing. And it doesn't just have to be monetary. They can just have ideas or, different little parts. I want people to make it functional for everybody, especially for the kids and elders. I want to make it, cool. So that's kind of like something I really want to convey out and get people to engage. I want people to really feel engaged, and you can either, if you don't want to tell me directly, you can mail it to me, write something to me, and just be as open as possible. Take a break.
Yeah, that's good.